We begin our report with sharper rules. That's what President Biden is calling for when it comes to tracking, monitoring, and possibly shooting down future unknown aerial objects. The president, in a White House address Thursday, also said he wants some answers from China. CBS News Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes has the latest.
We don't yet know exactly what these three objects were.
President Biden confirmed today that the three objects he ordered shot down last weekend probably posed no threat to people on the ground.
The intelligence community's current assessment is that these three objects were most likely balloons tied to private companies, recreation or research institutions studying weather or conducting other scientific research.
Newly enhanced military radar picked up the three objects on 3 consecutive days as they floated from east to west at the same height commercial airliners use. The objects were shot down by U.S. fighter jets using missiles worth $500,000 each. At least one hobby group has already come forward to say that their homemade balloon went missing last Saturday, the same day an object was taken out over Canada's Yukon territory.
I've directed my team to come back to me with sharper rules for how we will deal with these unidentified objects moving forward.
Chinese officials still deny that the massive balloon that started this whole saga was being used for spying. Today, they accused the U.S. of smearing them and escalating tensions. U.S. officials tell CBS News there is a growing belief that the Chinese did not initially intend to fly the balloon across America. The Pentagon tracked the balloon as it lifted off from China's Hainan Island 2 weeks ago and began heading east toward Guam and Hawaii. The theory is that it was then blown off course by the prevailing winds, first toward Alaska and then down over the continental United States.
We're going to get to the bottom of this, but I make no apologies for taking down that balloon.
Mr. Biden says his administration has now established protocols for when to shoot down an unidentified object, and he says that they will be sharing those protocols confidentially with Congress. He says he's also directed his team to establish a better working list of which objects are up in the sky in the first place. John?
Nancy, part of this is how, if these two countries get in a fix in the future, they de-escalate. It sounded like the president was suggesting there were going to be further diplomatic contacts with members of his administration, and that, in fact, he was going to be in touch with President Xi. What does that all look like, and where do things stand diplomatically at this moment?
Right. The president has been pretty careful, John, to talk tough about shooting down the balloon itself, but not really to talk tough about China. You're right. He said he was going to talk to President Xi again in the future. He hasn't accused China of doing anything nefarious. He's really tried to moderate his language there because the U.S. is trying and was trying before this incident to improve relations with China, to open up those avenues of communication. The president back in November sat down with President Xi for hours in Bali, and at that meeting, they worked out how the two countries are going to better communicate. And even though the defense secretary had difficulty at first reaching anyone in China to discuss the situation with them, the White House press secretary now says that communications are taking place and the two sides are talking.
The lines are open and operators are standing by. Nancy Cordes at the White House. Thank you.
You're welcome.